Could you be living in toxic overload without even knowing it? That's what you need to tune in today's episode with Lisa Conway and see her story, hear what she has to say, and all about her journey on reducing the toxins in her life as a salon owner, hairstylist, and business coach. Welcome to the Salon Owners Holistic Blueprint, your podcast for unlocking the secrets to a thriving salon business through holistic practices. I'm Jacquelyn Rodriguez, your host, and join me each week as we explore wellness, sustainability, and business success. Everything from attracting conscious clients to adopting eco-friendly practices. We're going to cover it all to elevate your salon business. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Salon Owners Holistic Blueprint Podcast. Thank you so much for joining us. And we have got a really special guest today joining us from Australia. And this is Lisa Conway. And I'm going to let you introduce yourself and tell us all about who you are.
Oh, that's exciting. We might need more than a minute. So thank you for having me, everybody. It's lovely to be here. I feel like I have a really important message, so I get excited. So I'm 59. Actually, I'm 60 in August this year. So I'm very excited about that. And I've never really thought much about, when I was 30, didn't care, 40, 50, didn't care. But 60 is a bit different to me. And that's because my health suffered in the last, probably terribly in the last 18 months. But before that, when I look back now, I could see some decline in my health. And when I study where it came came back from being in a hairdressing salon and being toxically overloaded. Yeah. So little by little, I ended up into a bit of a spot. So the reason I want to share my story is I think, if I could just help, not one, because that wouldn't be enough, let's be honest. If I could help 100 women realize that there's things that they could do every day that would stop them getting into a mental health decline later on in life, or even earlier. You might be an overachiever and get into a hot spot much earlier, but ADHD has been diagnosed for me in the last 12 months. I think, wow, how did you get this far in life without that? So, overachiever or a serial avoider, I don't know. But lots of things have happened to me, and it's made me realize that I think we need to speak more openly about the way we manage our lives if we're going to be a stylist. That's what I think.
I 100% agree. And this is such a serious topic, and we don't hear enough about it. But I think, at least in my feed, right? So like the things that I'm consuming and hearing on a daily basis, I do hear more about boundaries and about, not overworking. But I really that's in my feed. I know that that's not in everybody else's feed. And I also know that that is not a trend even now when you are in cosmetology school and you're starting things, like that is not what we're taught. So I think that this is super important. And of course, here we talk all about toxicity. And yes, we talk about products, we talk about, environment, and we don't talk enough about the mental and what it does with our mental state. And you said something about ADHD. I see it popping up everywhere. I'm not diagnosed either, but when I listen to all these, I'm like, oh yeah, I totally relate to so many of these. And I am 100% an overachiever.
It is, and I think it's a superpower too. And so I look back across my life and I've had a wonderful life. And I think I've really enjoyed being a hairdresser and salon owner and then a business coach in the space, because I love the hairdresser. I love that bouncy little personality who comes out of the boxes, doesn't matter how shit she's feeling. I always say they come out like a game host. Come on down. Come in. How are you? Good.
My chair.
Lies, absolute lies. And so there lies the first problem. And then I don't want you to come out going, oh, like that. I don't want that. But I also think if you're pretending, like who wants to be in a job where you have to pretend that you're well, pretend that you're happy, Like I guess that there's, you've got to, the same as we don't scare our children with our finances, there's a certain amount of stuff that we keep to ourselves. But I think what I learned very early on is I came second. The clients came first and I came second. And I remember my boss used to just go, don't be long, have a seat, Lisa won't be long. And you think, oh, but hurry up. There's 3 waiting. And you just did it. Right. And so I think the generation today are much better at it than we were. They'd have to be, because we weren't good at it. And even back in when I was really good at being quicker and quicker, I tell everybody I can cut your hair in 7 minutes and I can do a damn good haircut, because the rest is fluff. But really, I can cut fast. But there were people in my generation who didn't like that pressure. And I think that now there's probably very few that would survive under that regime. And it was wrong, right? We missed our lunch. They weren't put in the book. And just so much was thought about the clients, keep the clients happy. So if you think about some of the things that we did wrong back then, one of it was, and you probably wouldn't even believe this, but we used to wind a perm where we put the solution on the client's head. Right? We had a little cotton bud and we tapped that little bit of hair and then we wound it up. And we tapped the next bit of hair and we wound it up. So that meant my hands were in that, right? So if it took me 45 minutes to wind, and if I was quick, it was 45, but it could take people 50 minutes. And if I did 3 or 4 perms a day, that meant my hand was soaking in that solution for 4 hours a day. Yeah. Like, is anyone have gone a bit cuckoo? Let's be honest, really.
And our skin is our largest organ.
Yeah, that's right. It's our largest organ. So when you see people who've got, challenges with acne or all sorts of things, that's the outside trying to get your attention. The inside trying to get your attention through the outside. So you can put all the topical things on whatever you like, but if you make the foundation healthy, then you're less likely to have those things. And they all are internal. Right? So when you're doing that, that's just what my hand's in it. I soaked it in. Right? I breathed it in. Okay. So it was in the air. There were so many things that were just not suitable. So now we're way better off, but we're not as good as we think we are. And there's an app called Dirty Minds, I think it is. No, it's called Think Dirty. Think Dirty. Mm-hmm. You're very likely to get a porn hub anyway when you're searching for that, but do with that what you can. But I've learnt so much from Dr. You say Amen, or we say Amen in Australia, AMEN, a psychiatrist. So if anybody wants to learn about whether they have ADHD and if there is anything you can do about it, then he's the man, right? So he really saved my life without me paying him 1 cent, just by watching all of his YouTubes and things like that. I thought, wow, that makes so much sense. So what he's talking about is the toxins that we not only ingest and take into our food, but what we put on our skin and what we're surrounded with. So right down to the cleaning products and things. So I wouldn't have listened if I wasn't in a mental state. I wouldn't have listened, because I thought, and I used to say, oh, nothing a bit of chemical couldn't save. That's what I thought. And I thought that your generation were a bunch of wussies. And I'm so embarrassed that I thought that.
But the thing is there's no fault to you on that. We are programmed to think that. Like, look all around you. We have commercials, teachers, everybody above us telling us, yes, this product is safe. It's fine. Everybody else uses it. Spray Clorox.
That's right. And spray everything on your kitchen bench because you would hate to have a germ. No, we actually need germs. We don't need to be sprayed like you think we need to be sprayed. We don't have to have those kind of things. If we just let things be a little bit more natural. And I say to people, a lot of people say there's ADD and ADHD, but I think there's ND. There's a nature deficiency in all of our lives. And I think we've got so developed that we've missed the point in many, many ways. It's really sad. I moved to Indonesia to live about 3 months ago. I just felt like I had this calling, and I'm old enough that I can, live where I want to. My children are adults now. So, there's a lot of mental thinking about, am I a grandma running away? But I just felt like I wanted to be in nature more. I just had this calling to put my feet on the ground every day, to have sunshine on my body, to, less tailored clothes and more casual linen. And I don't know, I've just turned into this hippie, which is pretty funny, really, when you think about how much hairspray I inhaled. Anyway, the point of the story is there's a lot of toxins in our lives. And for some people, you're going to be okay with it. And you look at your grandma and she's smoked and she's 98 and you go, okay, well, how many of them are there? right? You can always point out a person who did some dumb shit their whole life and they're still alive. They're Christmas miracles, right? We don't know why they're still alive, but they are. But I want you to think about that. Probably grandma's first 60 years of her life, she never had a preservative. She probably never had a perm. She probably never had a lot of things that we had. So if you start off as a hairdresser and you soaked your hands in perm solution or toxic peroxides or things that they'll tell you are good, but if you scan them, they're not, right?
Yeah.
So there's a lot of really good products out there, but there's a lot that are boasting that they're healthy and they're just not. So you need the scan. You need to go back to the one we have is called On Skin. The one I use is called On Skin. So I wouldn't buy a product unless I scan it. And it gives you a score out of 100. So 100's spot on. I don't think I've come across 100. Actually, I think I have about a couple of 98s. But I find a lot of the commercial products are about halfway, right? They're about 48 or 50. So they're better than 30, something that measures there. But you just got to start to do a little bit of work. And once you do, it's like this puzzle. And you think, well, that makes sense. And I think I put Nivea on my skin. I don't know how popular that is there, but there's a Nivea brand, which is a very big commercial brand. And I love this one in the dark blue container. And I've been putting that on my skin for, I don't know, maybe 40 years. And it doesn't rate well. It rates poorly. So that's what Dr. Amen says. He said, get on to that. And slowly, he said, it didn't take him much to change over, but his wife, who's a beautiful woman, she's got this gorgeous long red hair and I can tell she's got breast implants. So we've all got to pick our poisons, right? But I think that what I liked about it is he's not trying to pretend that it's easy. He's not trying to say that, you should do what I'm doing. He's saying just be intelligent and smart. And I like that because I think we're all on our own journey. And I still wouldn't have been listening had I not got sick.
Yeah. And sometimes that's what it takes, right? Is something to wake you up to start to hear and to start to wonder, like, are the things that I'm doing actually okay for me? And
Can
what
you
else
change
is
a
there?
few? Yeah, can you change a few? Like I'm not saying, go to your cupboard and put it all in the bin. I'm not saying that. But if you just become aware, and I think you used a really smart term, which is something I never heard in growing up, in my feed. In my feed. I think, wow. Right. So after this, my phone's going to throw me some things that's going to tell me about some of the keywords that came out in this conversation. And that's what we call a feed. We didn't have that when we were growing up. Right.
Yeah.
We had to go and ask someone. If I wanted to grow a plant, then I would look around the other gardens and see who's growing the plants that I like. And then I might even knock on the door and ask the lady, that tree there, did it take long to grow? Does it lose its leaves? Well, we don't have that now. I can watch a movie and go, how old is Sharon Stone now? And you get the answer. So we don't wait for anything. And as much as that's wonderful, I think there's a part of our brain that doesn't get challenged or used like it did. And then when you add that with all of the things that we have, and I've noticed it terribly since I came back from Indonesia, is the stuff we have to consume here. Like just so many things. And in Indonesia, you can't get all the things. Like even just Jif to clean my shoes. We don't have it. So we just use soap. Right. So you just got to make do because you don't have all that stuff. And when you're in that environment, you start to think, well, do I need it? Do I need a cupboard full of cleaning products? Or could I get away with vinegar and bicarb soda?
Yeah.
Interesting. Right? So
Yeah.
when you look at the toxins, it's not just what we inhale, right? Now, in Indonesia, it's a problem because of the motorbikes. There's so many motorbikes everywhere. And I notice my fingernails get dirty really easily, right? So there's a lot of grime. So it's making me think about, well, maybe I could have a mask when I'm on my motorbike, right? And then you think about, well, it's a hot climate, so it can get very steamy and moldy. So I'll think about a room purifier. So there's things that you can do, and wherever you are, there's going to be some problems, right? So you've got to think about that. But if you have a choice to choose your salon products, just do some work. And, maybe there's a less toxic hair color. Maybe there's people that that are struggling and you can't put the color on their skin anymore. Like me, I had long copper hair that I was always coloring. They wouldn't go 2 weeks or wouldn't putting some sort of red shampoo or, conditioner or something and tweaking it a little bit. And I just stopped everything, right? And so then I thought, well, I can't grow this copper out to grey. So then I lightened the ends. So now the transition, and we're still getting there. It's a
Yeah.
little bit of white, and I'm excited about being a silver fox, which is so nice. Like, to think that your hair grows out without a regrowth. What the hell? That's a bit fancy. But I had to get used to the idea that not putting stuff on me made me not me. And that was an interesting mental changeover, because I'm always been, I don't have any fingernails at the moment. I'm not saying I won't go back to them, but I just thought, let's just clear the decks while I get better. And what's really interesting is I can remember stuff. I can do things without struggle like I did. So it's already repairing. And Dr. Amen says you're not stuck with the brain you've got. So at my age, I've done a damn good job to soak up everything I did and to only get into trouble at age 59, I think. But what happened was, about 50s was menopause. That was kind of like a bit of a load. Okay.
Yeah.
That was the first really big load. So what I want to mention is that you'll get away with a lot of shit when you're younger. We all do. You go out and you tomcat high hat all night, drink too much, fall into bed, alarm goes off, bit of lippy on, we're back in the salon, and you go, hello, come in. Okay. Well, that's damn hard when you're older. Damn hard. Okay. So what I want you to think about is, when your equipment's young, you will recover. The same as a brand new car. You get in and you turn the key. Well, my husband likes to collect old things, and he says, luckily, because I'm 6 years older than him, he's not my husband. He's applied for the position and I've said yes, but we haven't done the paperwork. But let's say, fiance sounds a little bit young, but anyway, he's the man of my dreams, and he collects old cars, and he collects me as well, he says. Now, when you get into that car, you can't just turn the key and go. You got to warm the baby up, as he says. And you sit there for a bit, and splats a bit, and then off you go. And it's a very different car. It's like this floats around this old Mercedes, and he just thinks it's so special. To me, smells like I think you say thrifty shop, like an opportunity shop. When clothes are old.
Yes.
Nana's house. Well, his car smells like Nana's house.
Very distinctive smell.
A very distinctive smell. It's like every human being, when their body oils and things are still on those clothes. But anyway, it's another story. So you have to think about your machinery getting older, right? And that's what I think people don't think about. When you're young, you just think you'll always be like that. And I'm not opposed to getting older, because there's only one alternative. And I don't know, would I change anything? I don't know. I help women now, salon owners, and we work with Americans, New Zealanders, London, and Australians. And it's just so lovely to find this little pool of people who want to live a healthy, wealthy, and kinder life, So, I taught strategy forever, and how to raise your dollar sale and all of those things. And I do all that with my eyes shut. But what I'm particularly enjoying is the women who come to me and go, I think like you, Lisa, I'm worried about the toxin. Oh, good, come this way and I'll help you. Right. And so whatever you're doing and whoever you are, if you're listening to this, it's because you have some interest. You have to be honest. Otherwise, you can go and listen to other podcasts. Yeah. But I think just be honest to yourself. And when you think about not doing something, don't let other people tell you it's a dumb idea. It's not. Right. And I think that when you really stick to and listen to what makes your heart sing, then I think you're in a really good spot to learn. And that's what I'd like everybody to understand, because the things that I think would help any woman or man the most is just firstly listening to what you want and quietening down everyone else's opinion, right? That's a skill set. It's going to take you a while, right? But the other thing is just stick back to the basics. And the basics are, get yourself a decent night's sleep, love, right? Turn that television off. What are you watching that rubbish for? Yeah. Like, you can watch television on demand. It's not like when I grew up, it was on at, my children, if they missed 4 o'clock, we didn't get to see Play School. That was about the one child program on all day. Now it just goes forever, doesn't it? So yes, all of these things, and that being another one, the screen time, put your phone down, switch it off. I know it's connected to everything else, but, people can wait and have some time. And even if it's just a little bit of time, so you might say, okay, I've set my alarm for the morning. It's 7 p.m. I'm not putting it back on till the morning. That's it, right? So all of these little things, little by little, will make a difference to your on button. I'm on, And so when you look after yourself, the rewards are huge. I can't tell you how much healthier you feel, how much clearer you feel, how much less like a cat on a hot tin roof that you'll feel. It's like, oh, just
Yeah.
relax, Matt.
Well, and I think it's such an important thing that like you talked through this of even like your grandmother, yes, maybe she smoked and everything, but a majority of her life, they didn't have these types of options.
Mm.
Foods were cleaner. Even the cleaning products weren't as chemically laden as they are right now. She didn't have TV all the time. She got a decent night's sleep. There wasn't the stimulation that we have today.
Mm.
It just wasn't like that. And it has rapidly evolved over the last 10 years. Things have changed rapidly, and it just keeps getting worse and worse, where we are stimulated all the time. There's so many things that we don't have any downtime. And that includes the sleep, getting outside, turning off your devices, connection with humans again, right? That having a real conversation and connection with someone where it's not 2 seconds and you're on and off the phone, or you don't sit down and actually have a meal where you don't have your phone in front of you, makes such a big difference. But then when we're like bringing it back into the salon, is how much time you actually have to slow down your process, to think and connect with your clients. Because I think that this is a really important thing where because we're so overloaded on a day-to-day basis, our clients are too. So that connection between talking to your clients and not just sitting there on your phone or, taking the next 3 people all at the same time. I think it all plays a part.
And I just think that if you really value the time that you spend with your clients, like if you've got so many clients coming in, then put your prices up and do it properly.
Yeah.
I don't understand that. People who wear this badge of honor, like, oh, I can't fit anyone in for 3 weeks. And I think, well, there's a problem with that, and I think, one of the things I hate as a consumer is they want to take a photo of you, the hair before and after and all that. I think, piss off. I'm not interested, and I don't say that, but I
Yeah.
just say, can I avoid that? That takes 15 minutes, right? Now, if somebody wants to do that, that's fine, and let them do it. But there are people who are not confident enough as me who don't want to do that. I don't really care. Like if you want to take a photo of the back of my head twice before and after, good on you. But I just think there's still the back of someone's head. You look at people's social pages and I think, oh yeah, whatever. Like, how do you know? Like, I would rather ask me and I'll give a testimonial for what a beautiful space it is and how much joy I had out of it. So maybe have 5 of those instead of 100 backs of your heads. Like, I don't get it. And I know that I'm an old person talking about old stuff, but I just think, I don't know, I feel like I want to champion for those who just don't want to do it in the way that everyone else is doing it. The pressure on you today as a salon owner to have all those images and everything out there, that doesn't mean you don't have to deal with the team members who are coming and going, the lost cancellations, the ordering your stock, that all that. Like, you have to do what I did, on steroids. How do you do it? I don't know. And then I think, the simplest things about getting into bed at night and bringing your lunch every day, and having a proper lunch break and doing that. And, like, why can't we run to schedule? And when someone comes in who's 20 minutes late for their appointment, they're having a cut and color, you just say to them, okay, well, I can't do both today. What would you like me to do? The cut or the color? But we used to just go, oh, now I've got to, because of her lateness, I've got to squeeze and jam everything in. So that day, from that point on downward, you're going to be late for everyone else. No, you don't. You just tell that lady. Like, I think the thing that I'm really good at teaching is you have way more control over your life than you realize. Everybody. And so the thing that draws us to this industry in the first place is we love making people happy. We're good at it. We're
Yeah.
good at it. And that's called a people pleaser. So I'm not asking to not be a people pleaser because that's going to go not well, right? But I think at some point there's a balance, Jacquelyn. There's a balance, right? And so if just from today your ears prick, maybe not both, just one goes a bit forward and thinks, oh, who's this old tart over there in Australia? What's she banging on about? because there's so much you can do that'll cost you nothing. One of them is get into the sunshine every day. And as soon as you can in the morning, the most powerful light is the orange light. So whether that's sunset or sunrise, and that counteracts the blue light of a screen. And you can buy fancy glasses and you can do this and you can do that. But you know what? Just let's get the basics right. Let's move our body. Let's go outside. Let's sit with your dog and pat it and just watch other dogs going past, and leave your phone at home. You won't die, you know. Do you need to count your steps? Seriously, people, like count them one morning. If I walk to the coffee shop and back, it's 2,000 steps. Do I need to have that measured every day by an app? No, you don't. Right.
No.
So just start to be a little bit resistant to the things that you're sold and the things that you're told. And I think for me, the ADHD it's not, the jury's not out on it yet. Is it inherited or is it developed? And I think it's a bit of both. I'm sure my dad had ADHD. That's a superpower that made him the entrepreneur that he is. And that's my superpower too. It's like having all the windows open. I can see that and that and that and that and that. And that made it really good to run a salon, right?
Yes.
But if you don't close some of the windows down consciously, then you can wear out your battery, the same as if I had all my screens open here. The main thing with ADHD and the challenge I've had is you give equal time to things. I'm giving you my time. Now, if someone came in with a kitten, I'd go, oh, look at the kitten. I couldn't ignore it because that's what we do, right?
Yes.
That causes us problems
Especially
for those.
kittens.
Especially kittens. That causes problems for people who don't have HD. They think we're rude. We're not. We just have all the windows open, right?
Yeah.
So know and learn to love yourself for who you are. That would be the first thing I'd say to people. And just be kind to yourself. Like, and when well, first you have to understand yourself, but when you understand yourself, then you can explain it to somebody that I'm not being rude. That's just my ADD, right? Now, when I've had plenty of sleep, when I'm not eating any chemicals, and because I had a whole detox, Diet Coke, all that shit's gone, large amounts of sugar. The only sugar I eat is in fruit. I feel amazing, right? So that means that my ADHD isn't on fire like a bushfire running all over my body. It's burned down to a little tiny pilot light, right? So when I, travel and you can't sleep sometimes on a plane and you end up in a bit of a spot, I know that my ADD will flare up, and then my memory and my busy. And so I just need to get that back down by sleep, by not eating shitty plain food, by only eating when the sun's up. Don't eat when the sun's gone down. Like, there's really simple stuff that you can learn that cost you nothing. And so if you're worried and think that maybe you need a diagnosis of ADHD, get it if you need to. I didn't go there for that. I went there because I was a bit lost in the plot, and I thought that there was something else wrong with me. And then when that happened, and I thought, oh, okay. I thought, well, why do I care at age 59? And the first thing he said to me, he said, where have you been? Why did it take you so long? Right? And I thought, well, I thought ADHD was for naughty kids in school. I didn't understand, right? So I was ignorant to the fact, and probably stubborn as well. But if you're thinking that that might be you, you don't need a diagnosis. Yes, I'd get one because I think it's helpful for you to understand. But the things he's going to ask you to do is what I'm going to ask you to do, which is go to Dr. Amon's site and look at all the things that you can not do, right? Because out of the 7 varieties, only 2 have luck with medication, only 2, right? And for me, I have huge success. It just calms the farm down, and all those thoughts that are going like that just go like that, and I can grab it and go, is that really true?
Yeah.
Very true. Whereas when I'm like that, I can't manage it, and then I can feel quite anxious and just not a good version of me. So think about the things. The first thing I'd say to anyone who's bitching about having ADHD, I say, do you drink alcohol? And they go, yes. I go, well, come back when you're ready to be serious about your business, right? Of you. Do you drink false sugars? Aspartame is the worst ever. And they go, yes, I drink Diet Coke. Good. Well, come back when you're serious. Because do you get 8 hours of sleep? No. You come back when you're serious. Like, it's almost like, well, you're not serious. You're just whinging. Okay. So there's so much that we can do. Turn your packets over, and if there's something in the ingredients that you haven't got in your pantry, leave it behind. It's that simple. You think I can't even spell that, then you don't have it in your pantry, leave it behind. So the closer you can get to eating as nature intended, like Pringles. I don't know if you have Pringles in America, but they were never a plant.
No.
Coca-Cola didn't grow on a tree. It wasn't squeezed and put in that tin, love. So use your common sense here, right? You
Yeah.
look at it and you think, well, lemon tea, probably that never came near the tree either, but let's have a look. Make your own lemon tea. There's so much you can do. And I'm saying it because you'll be blown away with how much better you'll feel. Blown away.
This episode is brought to you by the Holistic Salon Academy. At the Academy, you gain access to knowledge, tools, and a thriving community you need to excel in the clean, green, and sustainable beauty business. By joining the Holistic Salon Academy, you become a pioneer in a new era of beauty and wellness. You said something earlier about it not being easy, right? But it can be simple. There's simple changes like don't eat sugar outside of fruit, or don't drink Coke, don't, eat Pringles.
Very simple. The only reason it's not easy is because of society we're soaked in.
Yes.
In Indonesia, it's much easier because nobody's offering you all those things. Yes, there's McDonald's there and that, but it's not. When I first arrived, I'm saying, is this organic? And they'd look at me like I got two heads. Everything's organic.
Yeah.
Because they don't have the chemicals, right?
Yeah.
And even an organic food is much harder to buy. So let's just get out of the supermarket and the packet shit. Let's get away from them first. Let's bring home and meal prep vegetables. Let's think about the things. And whether you eat dead animals or not, I don't care. You can tell by the way I said that I'm not really eating animals. And I do eat animals, but I couldn't tolerate cooking them. But I do know that it's a part of. Sometimes I just feel like a steak, so I have it. I think that's listening to my body, but it's not something I would like to connect the fact that we murdered a cow and then we ate the cow. I don't, if I had to do that, I wouldn't do it.
Yeah.
But sometimes I do.
With that too.
Yeah, but I think, well, that's okay. And nobody's perfect, and I don't get it right all the time. And every now and again, I have a terrible workplace accident, fall into a shitty bag of chocolates or chips. It's fine. I'm not hard on myself. But the majority of time that I think that I should do that is way, way smaller. And that's okay. That's okay.
Yeah. Well, it's what we do on a regular basis, right? Consistency is key. So what you're eating consistently, what you're consuming, what's in your feed, right?
Yeah.
All of these things play a part. You can have a bad day because I've lived and had a clean, sustainable salon for going on like 13 years. I am not perfect. I still will pick up Pringles. I still will have a product where I'm like, oh, I really want to try this out. And I know that this one product, I'm not perfect. We're not.
I think you've got to choose your poisons, you got to choose your poisons, and that's okay. But I will say this, when you're wondering about that, Dr. Amen says, is this good for my brain or is this bad for my brain? So you think, well, I know it's bad for my brain, but I just want it. So have some of it, don't have all of it. So see if you can cut it down a little bit. But the other thing is, one sit-up doesn't make you abs.
I wish it did.
One sumo squat is not going to give you, killer thighs, right?
Mm-hmm.
But consistency over time will. So if you are someone who exercises and moves your body, and then you have a day when you can't be bothered, or a week when you go, I'm not doing a damn thing, you'll still be there. And that's the same with food. And that's the same with the things. If you are consistently over time, you do eat clean, or consistently over time, you do get 8 hours of sleep. Now, to get 8 hours, you've got to get in for 9, because no one goes to sleep at the minute they go to bed. So I say you've got to get in more. So read a book until you fall asleep. But if you consistently over time do that, and then you miss one or whatever happens, and you just happen to be out having a lovely time, stay out and have a lovely time. You can catch up another day. But the consistency over time is where you win, and you'll never get it all right. And what I've learned is, and I still do it, like I have amnesia. Last night I went to this cafe, and instead of having the big cake that I would have had, and I didn't want to have a coffee because it was late at night, I had a hot chocolate and this little cake, and my tummy rumbled like you wouldn't believe because of sugar.
Yeah.
My body said, "What are you doing, Lisa?"
It's amazing after you've detoxed it out.
Yeah. When you've detoxed it out. But something told me, the memory still told me, because I was on my own. If I was with my partner, Simon, he'd say, really? You need a hot chocolate. You know it's going to be full of sugar. Why don't you just have the biscuit? And I would have. So I'm very influenced, and that's a part of ADHD. We go, oh, like, do you want it? And whatever good idea. You know, if you're going to rob a
Yes,
bank
yes,
and
I
you
do
need,
want to.
if you want to rob a bank, ask me, because there's a very good chance I'll come with you. No, I haven't even divided up the winnings yet. I just go, want it? Yeah. And
That's a
that's
good
it.
idea.
That's a wonderful quality of ADHD. We're just with you. You know, we're the ones in prison with you going, oh, how good was that? I don't know how we're getting out of here. Do you want to ring your mum or mine? But we are fun people. And that's why I love them. That's why I love the hairdresser, because they're as mad as hatters, but it's good. Like,
Yeah.
life's been thought to be sensible. So, you know, I'm not here to preach to you about what you should or you shouldn't eat, but I know that if you don't look after yourself, you're going to end up in Shitsville. That's a small town. Nobody lives there, but people end up there, Shitsville. You know, it's the opposite to somewhere good.
Yeah.
And I remember once presenting on stage, and a lady put your hand up, and we were talking about Shitsville, and she said, "Would you like to know the postcode? Because I can tell you it's where I live." And she was about my age. I said, "All right, we'll talk later." So
Yeah.
just knowing that you have way more control over your life, it's pretty
Yeah.
exciting. You know,
It
we
is.
think we're stuck with the life we have. We think we're stuck with the brain you have. You haven't. But if you
Yeah.
think you're going to jump out of the hot pot onto, you know, higher ground overnight, you're just not. So just be realistic and make little tiny changes.
Exactly. And I tell all my students, it's question everything, right? We're so taught to follow the rules and do everything by the books, and what everybody else is doing obviously is okay because everybody
Mm,
else is doing it. What changed my life was I started to question, does
mm,
this work for me? Do I like this? Do I
mm.
feel good doing this or being around this or eating this or whatever the case may be? And once I started questioning it, all of a sudden I could hear my intuition going, hey, no, I've been telling you that like this sucks. Please stop. But we
Mm,
can't hear it until we slow down enough
mm.
to be able to question if this is something you want or not.
Well,
And
I
then,
think that's probably, yes, I think it's probably where I got into trouble, because when my brain health wasn't good, because my gut health, it starts there, and
mhm,
your brain gets your messages from your gut, I'd lost all intuition. It
yeah,
gone. And that's when I got into trouble, because it was so strong. And it is with people with ADHD. It's so strong. It is with feminine energy, and it is with hairdressers. So I had a big dose. And so once you can't rely on yourself, like it's your body going, hang on, have a think about this, and having the courage to speak up. So you're right on point to know to listen to your intuition. But if you are putting false, that's not even food, let's be honest,
no,
you'll muck it up. You'll muck it up. And so that's where I got into trouble, is that I mucked it up. And then I had no intuition. Then I had no um, belief in myself. And so I didn't question things. I remember the first time a woman came into my salon. I looked after her for years, but she was looking at shampoo bottles and turning them over. I'm thinking, what's wrong with this woman? That's what I thought. I thought, oh, pain in the ass. And I didn't treat her like that, because I would never do that. But my first thought was, she's a pain in the ass, because she's turning over the shampoo. She was looking for one ingredient, which was lauryl sulfate.
yeah,
That's one of the challenges, right? But I think I'm the pain in the ass turning over the products. I don't care. But when you say challenge everything, question everything, I would say just choose, right? Question till you choose, find your toothpaste, done. Don't look again.
yeah,
Then turn the next one over, your washing powder, find the one you want, done. Don't do it again. You don't want to get too carried away with it. And so
yeah,
now I've got a range of things. The only thing I've had to go back to is a proper mascara, because the supernatural one, I haven't been able to find one. Doesn't mean I haven't. There isn't one out there, but it was
mhm,
just crumble all over your face. You'd have black lines down here. So just gone back to a commercial one, which I don't like, but you know, like I said, choose your poisons. Just
yeah,
don't be obsessed with it, but start
yeah,
somewhere and start to question things. And even like, I'm fascinated with the produce here in Australia when it comes to plants and you know, fruits and vegetables. The apples are like this. I think that apples are drugs. In Indonesia, the apples like this.
yep.
So we were eating the ugly fruit and vegetables in Indonesia. They wouldn't make the grade here. They would not.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
Fascinating.
when it comes to food, I mean, everything is so pumped full of chemicals to make the chicken bigger. So you have a bigger chicken breast. The apples are bigger. The fruit, everything is so packed full of hormones and salt and water just to make it look better, but it's
That's
not
right.
good
Because
for
we
us.
live in a world of where appearances look better. Like even I've stopped having my Botox. Look, my eyebrows go up there. Who would have thought? When I was having my threading yesterday, I was pulling faces and I thought, oh shit, they're moving. I think she's having trouble trying to work around them. You got to laugh. But you know what? That's saving me $500.
Yeah.
And I just think, well, we'll see what I go back to. It'd be nice if I didn't go back to those things. And I'm not against people who do that. Do what you like. It's your body, your choice.
Yeah.
Just do it consciously, is what I'm saying. Just
Yeah.
think to yourself. And the thing that is most important is, you can find information that says what you believe, and there's information that says what you and I believe, right? So I had an argument with a girl once over chickens because she said, no, they're just bred bigger now. They slaughter them at 6 weeks of age. I grew up on a farm. A chicken that's that big is 6 weeks old. So don't tell me. And the way they get around it, I don't know in America if it's different, but in Australia, they give them something that stops them getting the ticks under their arms. And the side effect of that is a growth accelerator. So they say they're not giving them hormones. Yeah. The ADHD medication I take knocks my appetite over. I'm not hungry, right? So I don't mind because it makes it easier for me to eat. But if you weren't careful, you could get very thin, right? So I'm very conscious of what I eat. So I'm not going to be not very hungry and then eat rubbish food. In the part where I am hungry, and I don't believe I'll be on it forever. I just go through a bit of a bad patch and then I'm on it, but I can come off it too. It's not something you have to be on all the time and then be off. But there are side effects. So the same with the Ozempic pen, that came about because of the diabetes, but now lots of people are using it. So there's some really good podcasts on, whether or not we should be doing that. And it's not my judgment. You do what you need to do. If you're grossly obese, or even just some, if you want to spend $250 a week on something that's going to help you so you have some success, that's fine. But know the downside. Know that when you stop taking it, your appetite will return, right? So I know that for me, when I stop taking it, my appetite will return. So, Viagra was discovered because it was for low blood pressure, I think, and then they realised it gave men a wood. And they go, oh, let's market that, right? Don't tell me there's not side effects for feeding your chickens, love, because there is,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So,
Well, there's side effects to everything. And when we start to become aware, that's the difference, is when you're aware that things happen, right? When the toxin, like you're aware that there's toxins you're breathing in every single day that we're putting on our skin. Most people just go through life not thinking about it. So they're not aware. And that's a scary place to be, is when you just simply don't know, right? Once you start to become aware and you start to look at things, that's where then you make conscious choices. I know if I don't sleep, what the consequences are. I know that if I eat something that I shouldn't, what the consequences are. But I make a conscious choice. At that point, it's my choice. It is not just another thing that we do.
No. And when you travel, I find that's when I come unstuck. And then after traveling, like if I'd go to a trade show event and I'm away for 3 or 4 days, I know that I'm inside, I'm not in nature. And then the food options are pretty ordinary. And so about day 1 or 2, I go, all right. And then because I'm such an easily influenced, remember I'm going to the bank and robbing the bank with you. So I'm one of those people. So by day 2, I'm eating the fries now, no vegetables, and then I come home and I have this slump for 2 days when I feel like a piece of crap, right? So just being aware is really, it's the key, I think. And then just thinking, okay, so why did I get into a crump? Well, I drank wine. I stayed out late. I wasn't in any natural light. I didn't put my feet on the earth. That's a big one that I believe is really important, is get your feet on the earth. I didn't get any sun on my body. So 3 days of that, is it any wonder?
Yeah.
So I go back next time with a bit better a plan. So you take some food with you. And this is what fascinates me. They go, there's nothing to eat. I go, there is. I saw a lady selling boiled eggs over there. Go and get 2 boiled eggs and shut up. That's fine. Right? So don't tell me there's nothing to eat. There's nothing to eat that you want to eat. My kids have done that their whole life. There's nothing to eat. Like, really? Why don't you fry an egg? I don't want to fry an egg. There's nothing to eat. What they're saying is there's no Pringles in the house, Mum.
Yes.
Like your wardrobe, there's nothing to wear. Well, I don't know about you, but that cupboard looks pretty damn full to me. So it's a mindset, isn't it, really?
Yes.
And I've watched people on documentaries. One in particular, Zac Efron, comes to Australia and he brings this lovely man, I can't remember his name with him, but they go to a few restaurants and places where they cook these wonderful meals for these men. And one, Darren's his name, one's a vegetarian or a vegan. And so he just has a potato in the campfire when the other one's cooking up all the seafood. And I think, oh, that's so mean. Give Darren something else. They haven't got anything else because it's nearly all, live food. And Darren's really happy with his sweet potato. Fascinating. Whereas I'd be going, I need something better than this. But Darren's not going to die. So he just has a sweet potato. The same as you in the salon. You don't have to have all of those ranges. If you're clever and you know what you're doing, you get the range that you feel the safest with and you make it work. Your clients come to you for your brain and your ability to service them. And if you have this one brand that has 40 tubes of color instead of 140, go you.
Yeah.
That's it. They don't need 14 purple shampoos, love. They don't, right? So, it's about really thinking about, do I really need this or am I buying into what society says? And be honest with yourself. Do you have dermatitis? Well, put your gloves on, love. Stop scratching away in that basin and looking with your fingers. Stop that. Stop it. Use your fork, not your fork, use your tail comb or put your gloves on. The amount of times I say when I'm having my hair done, I go, pump the chair up. No, it's okay. And they do this. And I think, yeah, it's okay now. Do that for 30 years. You got to look like a vulture. They always got that thing.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
when you go home at night, stretch or lay on the floor, do it back the other way. So it's not just what we consume inside our bodies. It's like, you look at a stylist and her body's like an S.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Stop that.
And we have choices. Knowing is half the battle. And, anybody listening to this, like, take in what is resonating with you the most, right? Because we have covered quite a bit in the salon, out of the salon, food, all of those things, and they're all important. And I know, like, when I started on my clean journey, I was overwhelmed. There was so many things. And then not to mention when I jumped into sustainability and then my mind really just exploded, right? So I got to a point where I was like, oh my gosh, this is too much. And it can be overwhelming. And then you feel the need that you're just like, oh, it's easier just to not do anything and go back to how we're doing things, right? And you get to choose just one thing. What resonated with you the most out of hearing our conversation? Take that one step, perfect that. Not that you can make anything perfect, but start doing it consistently. And then you can start bringing in one more thing, right? So looking at that, letting it be simple. Let it be simple in your life. It does not have to be something that we stress out, we overthink, because I was at that point. I really was so stressed out because I was trying to cut everything that I was doing the opposite to my body, where then I'm so stressed out that that's not good for you either. So it is a nice, beautiful balance. Choose one thing, make that a consistent choice in your life, and then start bringing in other things to help continue that journey. Because I know a lot of people will say to me that is where they get hung up, is there's so many things. Where do I start and how do I do it all? Well, you don't.
I think there's a couple of things that I think about, Jacquelyn, that if you're in this matted up ball of string And that's you where you are now, right? That's where I was. And you think, where do I even start? And you start pulling on that one. And you think, no, I think that's the tail. I think that's it. And then there's knots in it. So you've got to make a start. And if it took you 30 years to get into a knot, why do you think you're getting out of it this week? You're not. You're not. Stop it.
No,
But just make a start, and maybe just put the ball on the string in the kitchen where you can just see it each day and think, I might have a little crack at that while I'm drinking my cup of tea. Just go slow, people, right? And the other thing that I think is probably the hardest is you're going to get knocked around by people who think that you're mad, right? Nobody can not drink alcohol. That's ridiculous. That's what they say. Well, actually, they can, right? So nobody can is a bullshit excuse. And I think it's more of a reflection of them. So if you're listening to this podcast, you have an interest.
Yeah.
Right? This is not Cocaine Anonymous podcast, right? Or this is not a how do you get your drugs in from another country podcast. This is a healthy podcast. So you tuned in here. So let's be honest, right? So first to go small, know that it took you a while to get this knot of string and things. So just go easy. But I also think I got annoyed when people, well, I don't know if they'd pick on you. They go, oh, this is a common one. That's a rabbit hole. You don't want to go down that rabbit hole. And I think, okay, well, you just stay up here on the ground while I go down this fucking rabbit hole, people. Probably I can't swear on your podcast, so you'll have to go beep, right? Whatever. I should have asked at the beginning. I love a good swear word. Use all the language, I say.
It's funny. I do too. So I have no problems here. I'm not promoting to kids, so we're good.
No, okay, very good. All right. So when they say, well, that's a rabbit hole you don't want to go down, my heart was saying, well, you're an ignorant person, not even looking at, you don't even know there's a rabbit hole to go down. I wouldn't say that because I'm not a mean person, but it is difficult, especially when you're not well and you're stressed, that you get criticized for going first. I'm not mad. I'm just first. I'm not mad. And you're not mad first. And so if you're not mad first. If you're not mad, you're just first. So if you think about what you did 13 years ago, I wasn't there, but I would have thought you were mad. I would have thought, oh, pain in the ass. Just eat the Pringles. Suck in the hairspray, love. You're a pain in the ass. Now, I wouldn't have said it because I thought you were making me feel like I was ignorant. I didn't. I just thought you're being over the top, love. Yeah. Everybody does. And I can say that from a place myself. I stopped drinking a year ago, and that was the changing of my life because I didn't drink a lot. But when I drank on Friday night, I forgot every rule in the book. I could go to the gym, I could eat clean, I could do that. Friday night, I needed a reward because let's be honest, doing all that shit was hard. So I'd have 2 wines on the couch. That's all. Never was a large drinker. But because my body couldn't tolerate toxins, I'm already asleep. I didn't do the dishes. And then I'm thinking, oh, what can I eat? So I'd eat all the cooking chocolate because I didn't have anything else in the house. And then I just undo all my thing. Then I never got up and went to the gym like I planned to. And I just fucked it up in one night, right? And so what I learned was when I decided not to drink, I had to find something else for me. So I started to get a massage, which kept me busy and relaxed me enough to get into sleep. Because what I was doing was the wine was just to slow down my, what I know now, ADH head, right? So when you remove something, you start to learn something. And I think that's really important, that just not everyone's going to agree. People are going to think you're silly. That's fine. Just turn that volume down and just test things. And if it means that you get some response or some result and you think, wow, I had such a good sleep, work it out. Have a look. How come I got a good sleep? Oh, I haven't had a drink in 3 weeks. It's taken a while, but now I'm getting much better and my sleep's really consistent. Bing.
Yep, exactly. And people will say things. The amount of people that told me I was crazy, that I was not going to succeed, it was too much work, yada, 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 all the things. I wouldn't be where I am today if I would have listened. And
no, we will change. We will change as a society. When I was in the salon floor, people used to come into the salon and smoke cigarettes while you blow wave their hair. Can you believe that?
That's wild. Yeah.
Yeah, I did. And I remember having this conversation with my boss, Sam, and he said, you can't. They won't come. We'll lose half of our clients. I said, well, you've got 13 girls here. And I think you have an opportunity here to go first, right? He didn't smoke. I didn't smoke. Back then, I'd already stopped. I don't know how old I was, but I started as a kid and stopped when I was about 19, I think. But it was like a big deal. It was a big deal. And I was telling someone yesterday, because I was listening to a podcast that said, because I'm thinking, how are we going to get out of this mess of this SAD, standard American diet, which is sad. And it could be standard Australian diet. It's bloody sad. And there's so many people who don't even know what a vegetable is, couldn't draw one, children. And I feel at times like, how are we going to get out of it? And in this podcast, he said, we used to smoke in hospitals. We used to smoke in aeroplanes. And I went, wow, we did too. That's how he's smoking on that side. And I was like, how do you reckon the cigarette was stopping in the aisle? Seriously. I had my wisdom teeth out. I know I'm 140. I had my wisdom teeth out when I was 16, right? And so I wasn't sick. And I went into the hospital. My mum and dad dropped me off. It was 4 hours away in the car. They dropped me off. And a lady next door said to me, she's waiting for her surgery. She goes, do you want a cigarette? And I'm thinking, well, my mum and dad won't be watching. I'm 16. I'm hot shit when I smoke. So she gave me a cigarette. I sat up in white, crispy sheets and had a cigarette at age 16. The nurse came in, she goes, okay, just finish your cigarette and then I'll take you off to theatre. What planet were we on?
Well, and that's what, talking about cigarettes, like it was all the people smoked and they said it was healthy for you at times, like when it started. So think about that, right? So when you're hearing all of these things are healthy, yes, that hairspray is perfectly fine. It's not killing the ozone or your lungs. It's healthy. They said cigarettes were healthy. So we don't have enough time to see what all these GMOs are doing to our bodies, what all of this extra chemicals, what all of the keratins and the perms and the this and that. Well, now we actually do have proof of what those straighteners, the relaxers are doing, so many years later. But that's what we're saying. Like, really just question it, right? If it doesn't feel right to you, if it just if your body doesn't feel right, question, and I don't know, take a little break, change it up, think about things. And it's so wild with, that's the whole thing, is cigarettes were okay and healthy, and now we see what dramatic things that it did to your body and the trouble that it caused. So I know we could just talk and talk and talk, because I love this conversation. I know.
People have a life. They can't listen to us all the time. Well, I'm welcome to come back anytime. I love Americans. There's something really lovely about, I don't know what it is. Maybe I was an American in another life, but my plan is to spend 6 to 12 months in Costa Rica and then be able to travel and present on stage. So do podcasts. I want to do podcasts because while I'm living here, I can. So this is the beginning of me spreading a story. So if you're like an honest version from an old chick who's a lot of fun, who will rob a bank with you, hit me up. I'll come on your podcast. Providing you let the odd swear word out, providing you're not too proper, because that would be too restricting for me. But I just love what I do. It's an absolute gift. It's lovely to find, lovely girls like you who just are so passionate about what you do, and you're not mad, you're just going first. And I love that.
I love that. I really love that you said that. And I'm going to have to use that, because I'm not mad. I'm not crazy. I went first and I'm okay with that. Like, that is my secret sauce, is I'm not afraid to be the first one to just jump and do it. If it's passion, like if I'm excited about it, if I'm passionate about it, if I feel like in my bones, like this is where I need to go, I'll do it. Sometimes I fall flat on my face.
Exactly. 350 million Americans. Like, do you need to influence them all? Like in Australia, we have 35 million people. You have 350. So I'm only looking for 100 that I can mentor. That's all I want at my age. That's all I want. So, people go, wow, do you want to do? And I go, yeah, I do. It's called Healthy, Wealthy and Kind. The strategy for your business, I can help you anytime. But I'm looking for a woman who wants to look at herself and go, you know what? I think there's some truth in this nut job. And I reckon she would have my answer. Good. And if you think I'm a nut job, see ya. Go find someone There's nothing wrong with you, me, or the person who's watching this. Just find your tribe, people. Just
Yeah.
sing your own song, do what it is. And if you love to sniff a bit of chemical, get a bit of heroin in you and no sleep, good on you, love, but that's not my cup of tea. I never did anything as exciting as any drugs. I've never even done
Yeah.
cocaine or marijuana or anything. I've had a straight life.
Yeah.
Just as well, because I can rob a bank with you when I'm cold sober. So just as well. Maybe I knew. It's been lovely to talk to you. I know you got to wind it up because people say we talk too much.
Well, yeah, that's my specialty too. But let everyone know where they can follow you and connect with you.
So on Instagram, I'm going to have another look because this is my brain. I think it's _ Lisa Conway, but we can put it in the show notes perhaps,
Yes.
can we?
Yes,
That would be
we
a good
will
idea.
always have it in the show notes.
Yep. And also you can do, let me have a look. I'll tell you exactly. Why doesn't it say that? Oh, it is Lisa.Conway _ That's at
There we
the
go.
end. Lisa,
Okay.
LISA.Conway, CONWAY _ So I'd love to chat. Reach out to me. You'll be surprised because I'll send you a message back. I do. I don't type much, but I send voice messages. I just think it's fun. I love it.
And you can always find me on Instagram DMs. That's where I like to connect with people, and I love building those relationships. So again, take one thing that we said out of this podcast, start implementing it, be consistent, and see how things change. And then let us know in our DMs how it went. What did you take away from this podcast episode today with Lisa? Thank you so much for sharing your story, for sharing this message, and for being you. So I appreciate you being on the podcast, and we would love to have you back, of course.
Good. All right. Well, I'll think up another story and I'll be back.
Fabulous. Thank you everyone for listening, and catch me next week. Thank you for joining today's episode. I really hope you enjoyed the training. And if you have any questions about anything I talked about in today's training, or honestly, anything I've talked about on this podcast, I want you to go to www.cleanbeautybiz.com/advisor, or you can click the link in the show notes where you can ask me any questions you have about this episode or anything else that I have covered on this podcast. Again, that link is www.cleanbeautybiz.com, and this amazing little tool allows you to get your specific questions answered by me 24/7. Thank you for tuning in to the Salon Owners Holistic Blueprint. If you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to follow and subscribe. Until next time, stay inspired, stay passionate, and keep thriving in the world of holistic beauty.